come up with that dog shit pick. What the fuck were we thinking? What the fuck were you thinking?
Hello, everybody! What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Jimnasium. As always, I am XFL Jim, joined by the one, the only Chase Lupine Fiasco Sesums. I like the name tag today.
Yeah, I figured you would. I did it
I
specifically
like
for you.
It makes me happy on this dark day that is allergies just kicking my ass on Monday.
You sound like it too, dude.
I sound like shit. You can see how puffy my eyes are on stream.
Yeah.
It's bad. And work was shit. You ever have those days at work where going into the day and throughout most of the day I was like, "Oh, I'll be done by 3:30, 4 o'clock," and then I don't leave till 6?
Well, you have to consider that I am like comically bad at telling how long it takes to do things. So you're just describing every day of my life.
It's just a day where there's not that much to do, but you're still there for too long.
Yeah.
Like the bosses decide to take an 8-hour day and make it a 12-hour day for some reason.
Yeah. For now, yeah.
But let's talk about happy things like week 8 of the XFL, which was awesome. I think we're on a pretty good string. Basically, since week 5, every week has been a banger. Sans like one game, maybe.
And the good news for us is that we got back on track gambling wise after what was a very rough last week. For me, at least. I got brutalized last week, but I put it back together this week.
Kind of the opposite for me. Week 7 was pretty darn good for me.
That's right, because you had Guardians on the money line.
Yeah, week 8, a little bit difficult, especially that Saturday. Saturday, I got brutalized. Let's just get into it. Vipers, Battlehawks. Battlehawks win at 21-17 in the first ever XFL overtime. Do you think it was spoiled, the fact that there was 2 overtimes, that this was the first ever, and they just decided to do another one?
Did it right afterwards? I don't think it spoils it, because there can only be one first. Like, it's just whenever the next one came up, it was like, that's some old shit. That's happened before. We don't care about that. No, man, like, I don't know what to... I really don't know what to make of this game, because you have XFL injury report gate with it.
I was going to start being like, okay, biggest complaint, AJ McCarron ruled out
15 minutes before the game, because we don't have any sort of injury report. Like, it's
apparently he was practicing all week too.
Yeah, and it's completely so. All I could think was that he had to, considering like the import of the games right now, because they're in a dead heat with Seattle. Of course, they didn't know it at the time, but DC was going to lock up one of the playoff spots, and so all I could think is AJ McCarron's fucking hurt.
Yeah, if he's not like seriously hurt, he's playing this game, because this is basically every game going forward, including this last week, is a must-win for St. Louis and Seattle.
Like, if he could have played, like, that was like a more balls than brains sort of risk by Anthony Becht, I think.
I would definitely agree. And Nick Tiano, who I will only refer to as Nick Tainto from here on out.
Yeah.
To his credit, was all right. Just a little bit careless with the ball, which is something like that's the thing that you don't see from AJ McCarron.
Yeah, completely. And I'm not an NFL scout by any means, but after seeing that game, I feel like if I'm a scout, the thing that I write on my pad is arm strength question. Whenever it comes to Tainto, because he had some very just wide open receivers. That should have been a Battlehawk blowout, but he just
both of his interceptions would have been touchdowns.
Yeah, that were just underthrown. Like, he just couldn't get it out there. Couldn't hoist it out there. So
also, shout out Vegas for having a run D all of a sudden.
Vegas has a run D all of a sudden, and they've got a pretty good little quarterback too.
Yeah, it's a real shame that they're just eliminated, because Jalen McClendon looks like he's the guy. I hope he stays. I don't know if he's going to be able to show enough to move on.
Yeah, I could see him there next year just because, I mean, what have you put on tape other than 2 games? But, I mean, two games can get you signed somewhere.
Oh, he could very easily be a backup somewhere. Don't get me wrong. I really hope he stays because he's a pretty dynamic quarterback, and this Vegas team has looked better with him as the starter. First ever overtime, what do we think?
I kind of like the shootout format. It's unfortunate that they didn't do best of 7 so that I couldn't get the cover of -7.5.
Yeah, that sucked. Again, that's just injury gate bullshit.
Yeah.
Both XFL and USFL work on that. Do it now.
I heard a lot of people with gripes towards the overtime thing. I like that it's not necessarily one and done. Just like you miss a play, the other team scores, it's over. Like it seems like it would be less high drama and high stakes, but the truth is all it does is it takes the high drama and the high stakes and it extends it out over 6 football plays.
Exactly. Well, that's to say we didn't see either overtime go to round 2, but I don't know how many rounds it could go to.
That's the cool thing about it is it literally could go forever. It could.
Yeah, it's like college in that regard.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. But I mean, I don't have any problem with it. There are some people who are like seriously like egreged by it. And I don't get that.
You're never going to please everybody. Yeah, it's like a different kind of game when you're just doing those short yardage plays over and over again. But no overtime is perfect. Colleges isn't perfect. The NFL certainly isn't perfect. I think the XFL has a really good job.
No, colleges isn't perfect, but it was.
The just normal overtime rules of college, that's still the best overtime.
That's the best overtime ever. That like everyone else has messed up overtime.
And now college does too.
Yeah, now college has also. Like I don't necessarily like if college were to do more of the XFL overtime, I think I might actually like that a little bit more.
If like say they do the regular overtime for the first 2 still, and then after instead of just back and forth trading 2.5 yard line, they do best of 3.
Yeah,
I would like that. I would like that too.
Yeah, because I don't like the shootout component of it. I mean, I understand like it is high drama, it's high stakes, but like.
I don't like that it comes down to one play.
Yeah, because you can get so jobbed on one play. Like, let's think of like Arkansas getting the targeting call after they had the stop, to end it.
Do you have an Arkansas play for like any situation?
An Arkansas play for any situation?
It feels like you do.
I mean,
it feels like for almost any football situation, you can pull out an old Arkansas play.
I mean, probably. I feel kind of judged right now, though.
No. I like it. You're like the Arkansas football encyclopedia.
I am. Listen, whenever I was the portfolio manager for Miller Coors distributor, we had a thing because, Miller Coors, they sponsor like the Westwood One football radio broadcasts. And so we had a meeting with Miller Coors at the stadium. And one of the things they did was Razorback trivia, where they handed out cool Razorback stuff. And I goddamn cleaned up. Like, I left with like a Brett Bielema signed mini helmet, a triple XL sized polo, some Razorback grilling utensils. Just, yeah. So, I mean, you're noticing something that is pretty well known about me.
It's pretty easy to notice.
Yeah.
Game number 2, we had the Arlington Renegades taking on the Orlando Guardians. The Renegades win this one 18-16.
Wrong team favored.
I don't know. Both these teams weren't great. The Renegades, though, with Luis Perez as the starting quarterback, actually looked decent on offense.
I take it all back. They're going to the playoffs, Jim.
They also scored their first points of the first quarter. Their first quarter touchdown was scored in this game. Wasn't even the offense still. Was not the offense that scored it.
Right. Yeah. Dude, it's amazing because I have regarded them as a bad football team for most of the season, and now I think they're kind of good now that they have Luis Perez. Like,
he does that. He does that to you.
How much better did he make their wide receivers in that game?
It's the fact that he's consistent. He's accurate. As much as we love Kyle Sloter, he's too much of a Brett Favre.
Dude, I can't. The only wide receiver on Arlington I can name is like Archinako or whatever.
I could name Tyler Vaughns, and that's about it.
And the only reason I can name Archinako is because he has a weird name, and the reason is because they haven't been involved for 7 weeks. Now Luis Perez is there. He's actually getting these wide receivers involved. Look out for them to make a little run down the stretch, especially because I think you've got a vulnerable Roughneck team.
Yeah, they could. I mean, the Roughnecks are already locked into the playoffs, but they're not locked into first place yet.
No.
So watch out.
I still think they win first place, but
I think they do too.
I think they're very vulnerable in one, and if they make a second playoff game, that one, or even the first one.
So Dormady also, the story, coming back down to earth a little bit, but even then, yeah, he had 2 picks, but he still threw for over 300 yards.
He might be the best quarterback in the XFL.
He might be, dude. He's
got like if you were to compare his best 3 games against the best 3 games every other quarterback has had, like he's got to be 1 or 2, right?
I would say so. Also, this was a weird move from the Guardians where they didn't lose because their players were playing worse. They lost because of bad decisions.
Oh God, yeah, like
maybe the worst decision of the season.
You know how they say ballin' is a habit? It turns out making really bad decisions that cost you football games is also a habit. Terrell Buckley.
I really thought that beating the defenders would rub the stink off of this team, and they just went right back to the slop, because how do you not go for 3?
It was insane. Like, I had to jump back on your live stream immediately afterwards, and you beat me to the question of how the hell do you not go for 3? Because guess what? That game ends on a strip sack.
So
it ends on a strip sack. It could have just been tied. It could have just gone to overtime.
There was a minute left when they scored the touchdown?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can actually see it. Scoring drives right here. 4th quarter, touchdown. 2 minutes, 15 seconds left.
And they decide.
Never mind, that's how long the drive took. Let me see how much time was actually on the clock if it says. Oh, does it say?
It was less than 2 minutes.
3 minutes, 51 seconds, actually.
3:51 left. So, listen, I understand.
You are now down. 3 minutes, 51 seconds left. They scored the touchdown. You are now down 15-18.
You're now down 15-18. You go for 1. When you have the option to tie it up, like Jim's head hurts right now.
It hurts so bad because, what is going... So, yeah, now a field goal wins it instead of ties it. If you get the field goal opportunity.
Right. Or you could get the 3, be tied, and still
a field goal, and still go for the 4th and 15 if you want it.
Yeah.
Or kick it, trust your defense. Guess what? Either way, a field goal wins.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, then it ties.
Worst case scenario, you're still alive to play football if you go for the tie and get it.
Well, worst case scenario is they don't get the 3, and then they'll just be like, "Oh, told you so." But I mean,
then you have the 4th
after you
and
get
15.
the 3, worst case scenario, you just tie.
Yeah. I don't know why you don't go for the 4th and 15 because there's no guarantee that you're going to get the ball back.
No,
there's no guarantee that you are ever going to be that close to the opposing end zone again at any point in the game. Dumb decision. Epically bad decision by Terrell Buckley. I think if there's a coach that doesn't come back to the XFL next year, his name is Terrell Buckley. God rest his soul.
Maybe just for his health.
The late Terrell Buckley.
Just for his health, he doesn't. Moving into Sunday, the Roughnecks versus the Brahmas. Roughnecks win this one 17-15. There's no way this game should have been this close.
No, just Roughnecks shooting themselves in the foot. You have Brandon Silvers back. They decided, I guess, Cole McDonald was a failed experiment.
Silvers gives and then Silvers takes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, did Houston cover the 6? No,
they did not.
But they did the important thing, which was win,
and they got the under.
And that's the other big thing. That was the massive thing for me yesterday, was that they actually got the under, because I had them after my all games parlay.
On what planet should the Brahmas have almost 20 more plays than the Roughnecks?
No, it just seems like, dude, that seems to be the way that it goes, is that every time I've looked at the stats, it's like the team that loses has the ball longer, has more yards, and has more first downs and less points. And I don't get it.
Yes,
I have no
that's
idea.
exactly the case here. 72 plays for the Brahmas, 51 for the Roughnecks. 280 yards for the Brahmas, 162 for the Roughnecks. Over 100 more yards.
Dude, it was just an Undertaker's paradise, that game. Because they scored their points, and then they literally just decided to fumble fuck between the 30s.
Here's how
15 minutes.
Here's how I think you have more yards and more plays, and you don't win.
You keep
the
turning
Brahmas
over the
only
ball.
dink and dunk.
True.
That's the Jack Cohn special, where it's a lot of short passes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, so apparently they were talking about it during the game when he played for Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl or whatever bowl they played in.
Yeah, against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, he holds the record.
Yeah.
Jack Cohn shouldn't be holding any offensive records.
No, you should not. That's how bad that Oklahoma State defense was.
It was really, really bad.
Great offense, bad defense. The Mike
Jacques Patrick was probably my standout player of the game. He looked great, running the ball, running mean.
Yeah, they all run angry in the XFL, Jim.
I don't know. The Roughnecks are looking really out of sorts right now.
If you were to give me like 100-1 odds that a team out of the South, and just said any team out of the South wins the XFL right now, I probably wouldn't take it.
And I wouldn't blame you. The three best teams are in the North. Easily. And then it's a pretty, you saw it. Houston is undefeated in the South, and they got waxed by the three best teams in the North.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. It's the only thing that you can really say about this game is that the Brahmas are, I don't know. The Brahmas are bad, okay? The Brahmas are bad.
They are bad. They are bad.
But damn it, do the Brahmas have pieces? And I like their coaching staff.
I
really
love the
wanna
coaching
see what
staff.
they do next year. I really want to see what they do next year because I really like Hines Ward. I really
Also,
like
shout out
Joey
Hines
Porter.
Ward for getting caught cursing on camera. Love that.
Yeah, awesome. Joey Porter, love Joey Porter. I think he's doing well as he's doing great as a defensive coordinator.
They need two things, in my opinion.
Quarterback.
They need a quarterback, and they need that offense. It's the worst offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah. They could be a team that, depending on what kind of turnover they have, year 2 of XFL, look out for the San Antonio Brahmas.
You could see huge bounce back opportunity for San Antonio.
Absolutely.
Final game, Sunday night. Defenders, Sea Dragons. Defenders win at 34-33, the second overtime game in XFL history. I just want to start with the end. I don't know what June Jones' decision was on that final play call. Didn't like it.
No.
Didn't like it.
Not at all. The interdimensional denutular laser guided Guido, he had his typical game. He's gonna
only
chuck
one
up.
INT.
Okay, so it's a little bit better than his typical
301 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT.
He battled and kept it close. Like, listen, man, whatever teams make it into the, North playoffs, they're all good. They're all good.
Really good.
So yeah, I thought Seattle was going to be that team. I think that they're that team that has the most visible flaws.
Yeah, their defense had been looking way better. I think DC's offense is just really good, combined with the defense kind of sleeping a little bit.
Yeah. But keep your eye on next week. I would be willing to bet that the defenders don't play Tamu next week.
Oh, he was getting destroyed the entire game.
He came up very gimpy at the end of that game. I would be willing to bet a lot that you have just straight up Derek King because they're locked in pretty much. I mean,
they're locked into the playoffs. They're not locked. They're not locked into the home field advantage, which would be massive for them.
Yeah, but they've already played the two toughest toughest teams in the leagues twice. All they have is that they could literally outscore most of the other teams in the South with just their defense.
The fact that they're doing this in a shootout-y situation, like Jordan Thomas, as beat up as he was, still went 17 for 26 for 247 and 4 passing touchdowns.
Which, hands down, I mean, even if you throw out the passing touchdowns, like from a yardage standpoint, it has to be top, if not top 3 games of the season for him.
We've talked about these last 3 weeks have been massive games for the Defenders to show that they have another level of offense.
Yeah, they don't have to just rely on read options and Jordan Ta'amu being mobile and actually going out and getting it.
And the defense just being way better than most other teams they play, which it still is. The defense is still really good.
Yeah.
It's a shame that one of these teams is going to be left out. So next week, we'll look ahead to week 9 first, and then we'll talk a little USFL as well. Vegas at Houston. Vegas can't really play spoiler anymore. I wonder what Houston does here. I still think obviously they're still trying because they're not locked into the 1 seed.
I was looking at this, and I saw an 8.5 spread, and it's one of those ones where I like Houston to win but love Vegas to cover.
I would love that, yes. Yes, 1,000%. Guardians at Brahmas is interesting.
It's not uninteresting.
It's because we have to assume that the Renegades are losing.
I guess, yeah.
They're playing in DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it is just Derek King starting, I still like the Defenders.
Right?
And if the Renegades lose, the Brahmas are in a pretty good position.
Yeah. This is all true.
Still, 2-6 is rough. But if you can get to 3-6, then you just kind of have to win out.
We'll see.
And then obviously, game of the weekend, Seattle, St. Louis.
It's for the whole Magilla.
That's everything. So 5-3 for Seattle, 6-2 for St. Louis, and if Seattle wins, they probably have the tiebreakers for points 4.
They do.
That's the other tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So this is basically a de facto play-in game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, hell, the Defenders will have to beat 2 teams that they have beat twice in the playoffs. Who knows? This could be the de facto championship game.
It could be. It could. And now we look forward. So week 9, the XFL will be going up against week 1 of the USFL.
There's some interesting lines there. Let's go ahead. Just go ahead. Talk.
I'm going to go through the times real quick first. So Saturday, here we have the lineup. XFL starts first. I'm going to go all Eastern time.
Ugh.
Okay, I'm going to switch it to Central in my head.
There you go.
Okay. 11:30 a.m. Central time. Vegas, Houston.
That's what I'm talking about.
Then it's 2:30 Central time. Oh, it's actually, thank you, Fox's website, for doing it for me. 3:30 Central time, Philadelphia Stars take on the Memphis Showboats. 6:30, General Stallions. And then 7, and by 7 I mean 6, Guardians Brahmas. Okay. So there's the only game that really stands alone is the Vegas-Houston game, where there's no overlap at all.
I really think they just wanted to get it started before the USFL game started. Because the USFL game started at noon.
No, the USFL starts at 3:30.
Oh, well.
The XFL starts at noon.
I still think that has to be it. That they wanted to get one game started, but and have it on television going before.
I think so, because it's on ABC. The USFL, both their games are on Fox, back to back.
Right. So I think they're hoping maybe get you dialed into one specific channel and ignoring everything that's happening. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, Sunday they do NBC and then Fox FS1 for the Maulers Breakers. Breakers got kind of screwed there.
Yeah, they did.
But let's take a look at some lines. Let's take a look at some early lines, shall we?
Let's go.
Let me pull those up. This weekend's going to be a huge clusterfuck, dude. It's going to be so busy here.
Yeah, you're going to be a very, very busy man for the next few weeks.
Yes, so let's take a look at the XFL first. I'm seeing Roughnecks minus 6.5 at the moment.
Yeah, I still 6.5. I still like Houston to win, Vegas to cover.
I might like that too. Over under 43.5. Are you touching totals at all this week?
No.
I don't blame you. Guardians Brahmas minus 1.5 at home.
Except for this total, this is an under for me.
Yeah, 39 as the total. I don't know, man.
I think you probably just go Guardians on the money line here, quite honestly.
Probably just go Guardians on the money line. I have to play a total. I'm going to go over. This Guardians defense still, I don't trust it, and I think it can turn into a shootout. Renegades Defenders. Defenders minus 8.5. Now, if De'Aaron King starts and is playing the whole game, how do we think the Defenders offense looks?
Slow, methodical, workmanlike, honestly.
41.5 is the total.
I think it's an under, and I think it's a DC wins, Arlington covers situation.
I think you're right.
I'm riding high on Luis Perez in the Arlington offense, so
he
really
only let me down one time this year, and that was against St. Louis.
I'll be honest, given the fact that they're already locked in, I think next week might be a good week to try to hit, the defenders, whoever's playing the defenders on the money line.
Well, yeah, probably, because then they'll probably be locked into first place.
Exactly.
Sea Dragons, Battlehawks. Battlehawks -1. It's a pick'em.
Yeah, but you go ahead and you take the -1 because I'm seeing it on the money line. It's -115.
I'm gonna take the -105 for the Sea Dragons until I hear about AJ McCarron's status.
That's fair. This is one you definitely don't play.
You wait. Wait on this one.
You might actually. I would even leave this game out of any sort of parlays that you put together.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Maybe
Maybe also exclusively live bet.
Listen, I had St. Louis in a parlay that I put together literally the night before.
Yes.
And felt great about it. It's amazing how much could change
too.
when you don't have injury reports.
Meanwhile, to the USFL. To be fair, I have done very little research. I'm going to try and do a lot of that tonight while stuff is rendering.
I looked through the rosters earlier to try to get a little stuff.
Well, look at you with all the time and money and power.
Well, one of those things.
It's the power. It's the power.
It's the time.
Stars -2.5 versus the Showboats. Over under 38.5.
Yeah, so the Showboats.
Who's the quarterback for the Showboats?
It's either Cole Kelly, former Arkansas Razorback quarterback Cole Kelly, the Cole Train, versus oh God, who else is it? It was someone else who was, I want to say, on the roster last year. It was another USFL quarterback.
The backup to Tamu?
Maybe.
Let me see the roster. We have quarterback roster, quarterback. We have Cole Kelly, and we have Brady White or Ryan Willis. I think Ryan Willis was the backup last year.
Yeah, so I think you could possibly have Cole Kelly starting here. And actually, if you want to talk about, traditional fits, Todd Haley coach team with a very Ben Roethlisberger-esque, quarterback with Cole Kelly, if Cole Kelly is indeed the starter. Either way, fuck the Showboats and fuck Todd Haley. Like, literally
Stars.
The only thing that was good, anything that was good about that team is in the XFL right now.
Yep. Give me the Stars, baby.
So,
Bug Howard's back. Case Cookis is back.
And they pick up Vlad Lee from Pittsburgh as their backup.
Yep. Dude,
and Vlad Lee was the only good thing about.
He was the only good thing about those Maulers last year. Just getting Case Cookis. I think Case Cookis was the best quarterback in the league last year in the USFL.
Dude, he's got balls. He's got heart. He's got heart balls.
He's got a fucking arm too. He's good.
Yeah, arms and heart-shaped balls.
Week 1, I want to just take flat unders throughout, but the XFL kind of threw a wrench into that this year.
Really kind of shit in our lunch there, didn't it?
But they don't have the go for 2, go for 3 rules.
That's true. And the kicking, we'll have to see if the kicking is any better. The kicking had a lot to do with
hopefully
the unders last year.
They take the microchip out of the ball. Hopefully that's just not in there at all.
Hey, if we want to bet unders, hopefully they kept the fucker in.
I'm gonna wait to see. But I'm leaning towards the under 38.5. General Stallions -5.5.
Fuck that. That's
really a lot of points.
That's my big takeaway is even if, the Stallions and the Generals both got a lot back. They both have pretty much the exact same team that they had last year. And that's fitting You have 2 championship teams, and the only attrition was people who went to the NFL. Good for them. I think you're not going to see very much different from like the championship game, but I think it's a situation where if Birmingham wins, I still think that New Jersey covers. This is an under game.
I agree,
Both these teams run the shit out of the ball.
I think they run the fuck out of the ball, dude. Hardcore. Yeah, a lot of the only difference really is the Generals don't have Perez to like switch in with Laletta.
Yeah.
But Laletta looked fine for most of the season.
Well, the Generals have Mago still. They have
No.
Sorry,
That's the Stallions.
The Stallions. The Generals still.
They got DeAndre Johnson.
That's right. Like they'll DeAndre Johnson was the guy last year. They'll stick with DeAndre Johnson, but they did spell with what's his name a couple times last year too. So, but DeAndre Johnson's the guy.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think 5.5 is ludicrous personally.
I agree. I'm all over the Generals at plus 5.5.
Panthers Gamblers, it's a pick'em.
Who's the coach? Who's the coach of the Panthers?
Which one?
Right now?
Panthers right now. Let's see.
Curtis Johnson is the new head coach of the Gamblers. Yep. And
Mike Nolan, really?
Mike Nolan. It might be a good time to take the shot at the Panthers. They were so bad last year. Houston.
I mean, I'm going to take a shot on the Panthers just for the fact that they got Paxton Lynch off the roster.
It does wonders. It does wonders for you.
Like, we've seen what it's done for the Guardians.
You know, it's funny is two coaches you would have thought would have been pretty good last year, who weren't and aren't around. Now their 2 teams are playing against each other.
Who thought Kevin Sumlin was going to be a good coach?
I did. I kind of thought he would be great for Houston last year, but I was wrong. I was wrong.
I don't understand that line of logic, but okay.
But it's there. But you know, Curtis Johnson. Houston's got Curtis Johnson now. I don't know anything about Curtis Johnson. My gut says go ahead and zig and take the Panthers, but at the same time, this could be just like a don't touch. Like there are 6 games in here.
I have to touch Chase. I have to touch.
You have to touch.
I have to touch. But I agree with Chase.
Swing at the Panthers.
I agree with Chase. Don't touch, probably, but I'm going to take the Panthers. I like Josh Love. I liked him at San Jose State before they got, the worst thing to ever happen to football, in your opinion.
Yeah, the Nick Starkel, the death knell of any program.
The death knell of a program.
Yeah.
Finally, Mahler's Breakers minus 3.5, over under 37.5.
I mean, I told you today I already dropped a 6-1 future on the Breakers to win the USFL. They've got all of their weapons returning, sans Sal Cannella and Kyle Sloter, who are kind of just like a package thing,
They seem to be.
They got McLeod Bethel-Thompson.
Upgrade. I think that's a huge upgrade.
And he's got somebody who, up until like a year ago, was regarded as one of the better like quarterback whisperers in the league with John DeFilippo.
Yep.
You tell me what about that doesn't sound like Championshipville, because you still return Jonathan Adams, you still return Johnny Dixon, you still
getting Johnny Dixon, like the defensive consistency they have and the weapons they have on offense.
Yeah,
this team's good.
Yeah, there's one noted attrition. There's one noted subtraction from the defense. Davin Bellamy.
Yeah, that does hurt.
That hurts because that dude's got swag for days.
I mean, you got Sage Surratt, though.
He's got 46 Sanders swag.
He does. Speaking of which, that's enough football talk. There was bigger news on the timeline this weekend.
What could that be, Jim?
You tell me, Chase, because you stumbled upon the Casey's of Fortune.
Yeah. I met a really cool chicken yesterday. Jim, do you have the?
I'm getting the picture right now.
Can you show them the chicken? Show them the chicken, Jim.
Should I just show them the profile picture?
I don't care. Whatever. No. It's a awesome chicken wearing a hoodie and pants and a gold Cuban link chain. And he was just standing on a stool outside of Casey's. And I was like, this is my spirit bird. Let me take a photo with him.
Look at that bird.
Look at that. God, look at that chain too. It's so fortuitous because, my birthday's coming up. My wife and I's anniversary is tomorrow. No big deal. And we were talking about, like, she's like, what do you want? What do you want for your birthday? I want a Cuban link chain. And then I saw this bird wearing a Cuban link chain, and I knew exactly that's what I wanted.
It should be what you get. It's what you deserve.
It's what I deserve. It's what I deserve.
This was just fate, right?
Totally.
God damn. What a weekend.
What a weekend.
Thank you all for watching. That'll do it for the Jimnasium. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you next week for some more